Peace between Republic and Empire is crumbling. On every world, signs of war.
The long-lived yet tragically flawed Star Wars galaxies may have finally become one with the Force, but it won't be long until the Jedi and Sith repopulate the universe once again in Star Wars: The Old Republic. On December 20th, 2011, EA's excursion into a genre far, far away seemed to blast off with relatively few issues, which no doubt had much to do with the game's early access program, allowing scores of pre-purchased players out there entry into the game a solid week before release, and Bioware an opportunity to gird their freshly minted servers with distributed seed populations and a few last-minute hotfixes.
Is there anything I can do to help?
Beset only by the occasionally lengthy login queue, the first few days of play have been a relatively smooth start thus far. But how does the rest of the launch experience hold up by comparison?
As you may have heard, Coruscant is overwhelmed with refugees fleeing Imperial tyranny.
After a Wampa-sized download totaling more than 20 gigs in all, our adventures began on the planet Tython, where we found a rising swell of new Jedi recruits tearing into the local Flesh Raider populace. The confusion and rabble that can so often come in a new MMO experience were noticeably less apparent here, thanks to carefully plotted tutorials, instanced worlds capping player counts at around 100 Jedi per zone, and the game's take on gating quest content, which sectioned off key moments of our characters' formative levels with a barrier traversable only by us.
Don't treat me like an idiot, unless you want a face full of blaster.
The resulting story experience was a much more intimate and immersive one as a result, with meticulously choreographed and fully voiced conversations doing their part to obscure the hustle and bustle taking part all around you. The measured player counts also ensured that questing remained civil, with plenty of mobs and quest objects to go around. Pickup groups for the first zone dungeon were easy to rally, and the general chat more or less resembled adults engaged in thoughtful and helpful discussion. Belying the login queues we would often face, our packed PvP server of Mandalore the Indomitable seemed much cozier by regard.
I leave for a few minutes, and everything goes nuts.
So far, the Old Republic has managed to nail down the social and story experience with convincing results, and many of the performance and optimization issues prevalent in the beta have been ironed over for release. Even if your rig's graying at the temples at this point, expect the game to look and run pretty well, even on the lowest settings. Concerns about security are met with mandatory user set questions on login, though if you're looking to go the extra mile, security keys spewing randomly generated number strings are available as a physical purchase or a downloadable app for iOS devices, as well as BlackBerry and Android platforms in the near future. One potential issue that Bioware's been quick to address was that of early access accounts being terminated without a valid registration key associated with them on launch day.
If something bad is about to happen, I'd like to be as far away from it as possible.
The official statement reads that pre-purchasers have a 2-day grace period after the 20th to register their game, which seems to ameliorate many of the concerns that some players may have had of losing their early access progress should the game somehow not arrive into their hands sometime before then.
I get the impression you haven't had a Padawan for years.
Whether the developers will be as expedient to address some of the game's more technical issues, such as visual glitches, intermittent disconnects, and reported client crashes on the planet Taurus, remains to be seen. We'll be there every step of the way. Check back early next year to see if the Old Republic manages to bring a new revolution in MMOs in our full review.
Should I be worried?
You don't really expect me to answer that, do ya?